Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our panel on insights and investments from Korea, partnerships, opportunities and challenges. My name is Liz Griffin and I'm the CEO of the Australia-Korea Business Council. 여러분 안녕하십니까? 저는 호주-한국 경제협력위원회 대표이사인 리즈 그리핀이라고 합니다. I'm going to start by providing a bit of an overview of the Australia-Korea bilateral relationship. Korea is Australia's third largest trading partner, and POSCO, one of the world's largest steel manufacturing companies, is Australia's single largest customer. Korea is home to many world-leading manufacturers, including Hyundai Motor Corporation, Kia, Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix. And this year, in 2024, marks a special year in Australia-Korea relations, marking the 10-year anniversary of the Korea-Australia Free Trade Agreement, or CAFTA. And importantly for today's discussion, Australia and Korea are like-minded partners. We share similar values and it's a relationship that's built on trust. Australia sent about 17,000 troops to fight in the Korean War from 1950 to 1953, and that's still very much remembered by the Koreans today. Also importantly for today's discussion is that we have complementary economies. Korea lacks natural resources and imports about 95% of its energy needs, and it also has 33 critical minerals on its critical minerals list with a 99% import dependency. But what Korea lacks in natural resources, it makes up for in its technology prowess. It's home to many of the world-leading tech companies. Darryl, I'm going to throw to you first. You're an engineer by background and recently started working with Korean off-takers and investors. You also recently came to Korea on one of AKBC's delegations. For those of you in the audience who perhaps haven't travelled to Korea before or haven't worked with Koreans, can you start by sharing some of your observations with your engineering background?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Liz. As Liz was talking, there's a number of reasons why it makes sense that Korea is a long-term partner. There's the values. We've been working together for over 5 decades in the resource sector. And both countries are invested in the region, both from an economic growth perspective and stability perspective. But coming back to Liz's point, I think one of the things that really stand out about Korea is their industrial engineering capability. And if you ever want to bank on a country that will be successful in an ever-changing and competitive sphere, it's Korea. So a good example is, you mentioned POSCO. A few months ago, I visited their Gwangyang steel plant. It's the largest, most productive steel plant in the world. And what makes it quite remarkable is Korea only came into the steel sector relatively recently. 30 years ago, I was an engineer working at the Port Kembla Steelworks just south of here. And it is complex, it is operating-wise very challenging, and it's fiercely competitive. And back then, Japan dominated it. More recently, it's Chinese. The Koreans decided to enter that sector, and within a few decades, POSCO was voted #1 steel manufacturer in the world 13 consecutive years. And you see it with Hyundai too, right? So Hyundai, just entered the car manufacturing just 4 decades ago and is now #3 in the world.
It's an incredible story, isn't it? Now, tell us a little bit about the Nolans project, NDPR, and also how you're working with Koreans.
Yeah, so the Nolans project, it will produce neodymium and praseodymium. So NDPR, and this is the rare earths that you need in everyday electronics, electric vehicles and wind turbines. Today, nearly 90% of that supply is controlled by China, and most of the 10% that isn't is locked up with Japan. So if you're a Korean, US, European car manufacturer, and we're talking, trillions of dollars per annum, you're very exposed Hyundai saw this risk early on, and they were our first binding offtake agreement to I guess, diversify the supply chain and have a secure supply of NdPr. So from our perspective, we want to be to Korea what Lynas is to Japan, and that is a secure supply of NdPr to underpin their EV sector. Fantastic.
Changwoo, Andrew Lee, I'm going to throw to you next. You're the representative, the WA representative for LG Energy Solutions. I'm sure many of you will be familiar with LG Group. You probably have a LG refrigerator or a washing machine in your house, but you represent LG Energy Solutions. Can you introduce your company, please, and what you're doing in Australia?
Sure. Life is good. I think that is the most popular catchphrase representing the LG Group. And today I would like to introduce a new vision logo, which was recently specifically designed for LG Energy Solution as Empower Every Possibility. Empower every possibility, what does that mean? So a stationary object is only a potential, but with the energy, we want to transform that possibility into the reality. So LG Energy Solutions, the core business model has been making batteries, especially manufacturing of lithium-ion batteries. And we are doing it in global perspective, not only in South Korea and China, but also in Poland, Europe, and North America, US, Canada, and even in Indonesia. So we have been, we have had a good track record in making batteries, but we just don't want to stop there. I mean, we will keep making batteries, and we would like to sell it to. We are happy to sell it to our customers, but we want to expand our business model to a service subscriptions model, such as BaaS, battery as a service, or EaaS, electricity as a service, and all this. So going back to what we are doing and what we are seeking in Australia, I think two things. First of all, we want to get closer to Australian customers who needs our batteries. It could be a residential battery, or it could be industrial battery at grid scale. So it could be an individual customer who has a solar panel at home who wants to add up with the batteries. Or it could be a mining project, a renewable energy project, which can collaborate this BESS with the solar and wind panels or even more. So, and secondly, especially what I'm doing in the other part of the Australia. So it's for us to successfully manage our core business model, it's very important to secure the raw material in a very smart way. So that's why our company decided to set up a new office in Perth, WA 2 years ago to get closer to where the real mining activities is occurring.
Fantastic. And to make batteries, of course, you need critical minerals. And you recently made a $250 million investment in Liontown Resources. Could you tell us a little bit about the strategy behind that?
Sure. Three key strategic rationales. First of all, stable supply. LG Energy Solution has a very complicated and diversified supply chain. So for us, it is very important to have a visible supply chain source for longer period of time from a stable or safe jurisdiction. So in this sense, Liontown and its flagship project, the Kathleen Valley Lithium Project, it has a sizable resource, and it was about to commence its commercial production, and it's even in Australia, so it's easily ticked our requirement. And secondly, cost. Yeah, cost is very important under current atmosphere. So one of the key objectives that we are having is we want to directly control over a certain portion of our own requirement by the end of this decade. So by doing so, we want to get closer to controlling the costs rather than be controlled by the external factors. So the recent Liontown transaction does not only support the mining company financial perspective, but also it will absolutely support us to better understand how the mining cost is structured. And lastly, third, IRA effect. I'm talking about the United States one. LG Energy Solution is spending a few $billions every year to build our capacity in North America. And most of our key customers are also North American based, such as General Motors, or Hyundai, Honda, and Ford, Tesla, blah, blah. So it is absolutely important for us to, when we design our supply chain strategy, we must take that into consideration, how the North American regulations are evolving. So in that sense, the recent transaction with the Liontown, long and stable supply of the key raw material will absolutely support us in getting benefit from the IRA.
Fantastic, thank you. So Joon, we've heard that the business-to-business relationship, it's booming. There's a lot of work being done in the business sector. You represent the government sector working for the Korean Embassy here in Canberra. We know that the reliable supply chains is of utmost importance to Korea. And I understand that there's a critical minerals working group, a government-to-government critical minerals working group. And as part of that working group, you have identified some challenges for Korean investment into Australia. We've already heard this morning that Australia is in much need of investment dollars. So what are some of the challenges that your working group has identified for attracting or for Koreans to invest into Australia?
Well, I want to share three key barriers to investment into Australia, which were found during the consultation with the major Korean investors and companies. The first being is the perception being Australia is a difficult place to invest. And what has impact on this includes the engagement with the First Nations people, and also policy instability and navigating and understanding the Australian mining industry, as well as the upscaling investors' capabilities. And second being is the difficulty in navigating the Australian government systems, which are very different to Korean. And also thirdly, there is some delays and failures in obtaining environmental and mining approvals, as well as the foreign investment approvals. Against this backdrop, Korean government welcomes and supports the actions and measures that Australian government recently taken forward to address these barriers. That includes the Australia Investment Services and also Geoscience Australia and CSIRO's work on increasing the investors' capability. And also there are key budget measures for DQ and Treasury to address the foreign investment regime and also the environmental approvals decisions, including critical minerals projects. So we are constructively engaged in formulating the next steps and are looking forward to producing some mutually beneficial outcomes.
Yeah, great to hear that you're working on those issues, and I know the Australian government is aware of them. Financing, we've heard again today, is a big issue. KEXIM, Korea's Export-Import Bank, has recently announced a supply chain resilience fund. Could you tell us a little bit more about that resilience fund and KEXIM's role in financing?
Yeah, of course. So the fund was established under the Framework Act on Supply Chain Stabilization on Economic Security, legislated in December last year. So $3.7 billion earmarked for this year is government guaranteed bonds issued by KEXIM. So its primary goal is to enhance the Korea supply chains and also support the sound development of Korean economy and economic security. So there are some priority areas that the fund is targets, includes the high-tech industries like EV batteries and also semiconductor and biotech. It also focuses on resource security like critical minerals and energy, and also essential commodities like food and industrial materials, and as well as the logistics sectors. And the fund, as for critical mineral sector, the fund supports key projects across the entire value chain, whether it be resource development or diversification of import sources, refining, processing, and also manufacturing and production, and recycling technologies and facilities as well. And in conclusion, the fund is vital policy tool for Korea government to enhance our supply chain resilience and also support the business activities across the value chains.
It's a great opportunity for Australian mining companies. And Darryl, you've successfully got some debt financing from Kexim. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is a bit of a plug for Kexim. So we recently announced securing over $1 billion of debt, and it involved 5 export credit agencies. Kexim actually came in at the very end of last year and went through all their due diligence, and it was completed a little bit over 6 months. And obviously getting financing is critically important, but you want to deal with ECAs that can secure that funding quickly, and that was definitely the case with Kexim.
Fantastic. Well, I think our time is just about up. Thank you very much to our panellists. It's certainly a very exciting time in the Australia-Korea relationship. In fact, there is a rumour that there might be a presidential visit at the end of this year. Australia is very eager to grow our energy supply chains. We're eager to do more with Korea, but we also need to ensure that we remain competitive globally. If you're interested to learn more about Korea, please reach out to our panellists. In the meantime, please join me in thanking our panellists for our discussion today.